I came to
start with the Chazaras on Pesachim Zayin Aleph.
How do we roast the Pesach? We bring a spit of pomegranate wood and thrust it through from its mouth to its anus and place its knee and its entrails inside. The words of Rabbi Yosef Hagili. Rabbi Akiva says this isn't considered a form of cooking. Rather, they are hung outside it. We may not roast the Pesach offering either on a metal spit or a roasting tray. Red Tzaddik said it once happened that Rabbi Gamliel said to Tavi, his slave, "Go out and roast for us the Pesach offering on the roasting tray. If he touched the earthenware of the oven, he must tear it off its place. If some of its juice dripped into the earthenware and dripped back onto it, he must remove its place. If some of the juice dripped from the flour, he must remove a handful from its place. If he smeared it with oil of truma, if the group is composed of Kohanim, they may eat. If it is composed of Israelites, then if it is raw, he must rinse it. But if it is roasted, he must pare the outside. If he smeared it with oil of the second tithe, its value may not be charged to the members of the company, since second tithe may not be redeemed in Yerushalayim."
Okay. All right, Tovia, are you with us?
No, he's not on a picture. I don't think.
yes.
Yes, he said just no camera. Okay. All right. So, by the way, Tovia, have you got yourself a Mishna app or some Mishnayos available? You're able to follow along with the Mishnayos. Okay, we're in Zayin Daled now. Okay, Chamisha Dvarim Bayin Batuma Ve'enan Nechalin Batuma. So there are 5 things that are brought on the Mizbeach, even if the Kohanim are Tameh, even if the majority of the Kohanim are Tameh, that is. Sorry.
You brought from the flock, from cattle, from sheep, or from goats.
That's me.
From males or from females.
You're replaying an old recording there.
Offering for some other designation on Shabbos, he was liable for a sin offering.
No, it is you.
Sacrifice is slaughtered with the designation of a Pesach offering.
Eliezer, that's you playing it.
I know. All right, I'm off now. Okay, I hope.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to contrast the Korban Pesach now with other Korbanot, because the idea of if the majority of the community is Tameh, that you can still bring the Korban. Yes, I'm going to mute you. When you just give me a hands up when you've managed to switch off the sound, and I'll unmute you. Okay. There are five things, says the Mishnah, that are brought in Tumah, but nonetheless they cannot be eaten in Tumah. So you have a lot of korbanot where the Kohanim eat the korban afterwards, the korban chatas or the tzibur or something like that. That's all that's eaten by the Kohanim. But these things, the idea that if you have the majority of the community is tameh and you nonetheless bring the korban, in these cases extends only to putting the korban on the mizbeach. It doesn't extend to the kohanim also being allowed to eat it in tumah. Okay, and these are the 5 things. Ha'omer. So the korban ha'omer is brought even if the majority of the community is tameh. The korban ha'omer has to be brought on first day Chol HaMoed Pesach. Okay, and it's and the remainder of it is eaten by the kohanim. Okay, but if the community is tameh, then the kohanim aren't allowed to eat it. Similarly, with the shtei lechem on Shavuos, it gets brought even if the community is tameh, but then the kohanim don't eat it. Lechem apanim, that's every week. The lechem apanim must be brought even if the community is tameh, but there's no heter to eat it with tumah. The zivchei shalmei tzibur, the shlamim that are brought for the tzibur that is actually specifically talking about the two sheep that are brought on Shavuot at the same time as the shtei alechem. Okay, usiirei roshei chodashim, and the chatas that's brought every Rosh Chodesh as part of the Musaf. Okay, these are all brought in Tumah, but if they are brought in Tumah, then the Kohanim nonetheless don't eat them. However, HaPesach sheba b'Tumah ne'echal b'Tumah shelo ba mitchilaso ela la'achila. Right, the Korban Pesach is eaten even though the people are Tameh. So if you have the majority of Israel are Tameh, then you still bring the Korban Pesach and everyone eats it, even in Tumah. Okay, why is that? Because the Ikar Avoda of the Korban Pesach is the eating, whereas the other Korbanot, the Ikar Avoda there is the putting of the sacrificial parts on the Mizbeach. Okay, and we're going to see this contrast highlighted in the coming Mishnahs. Okay, it says Mishnah, hey, nitma habasar v'chelev kayam. Okay, if the Korban Pesach, if it got shechted and then somehow it became tameh. Okay, so the flesh became tameh, but there's still chelev. The chelev that's meant to go onto the mizbeach, and so that still is tahor. Eino zorekes adam. Then you don't throw the blood because it's a completely pasul korban. The chelev that's going onto the mizbeach is kind of incidental because the ikar part is the basar, and if the basar has become tameh, there's no heter to eat. We're talking about a korban pesach that's brought b'tara. Okay, so this particular korban became if this particular one became tameh, then you can't eat it and you can't throw the blood on the mizbeach. Okay. Nitma chelev basar kayam. However, if the chelev became tameh but the meat is still tahor, zorekes adam, then you still throw the blood, right? Because what's the ikar is the eating, and if the meat is still kosher to eat, then you can still throw the blood. But with other kodshim, it's the reverse. So let's say you have a chatas where the kohanim are supposed to be eating it afterwards, but the meat became tameh, but the rest of the chelev is still good. The chelev, then you still throw the blood of the chatas on the mizbech, even though the chatas won't be eaten and it will be burned. Okay, so you see that exact reverse situation where, depending on what the ikar is, if the ikar became tameh, you can't throw the blood. In the korban pesach, the eating is the ikar. All the other ones, the mizbeach is the ikar. Okay, Mishnah Vav, nitma hakahal orubo. So what happens if the entire community, or at least the majority of the community, became tameh? Or shehayu kohanim ba'kal tehorim. Or if the kohanim, even if just the kohanim were tameim, and the rest of the tibur was tahor, the kohanim are kind of important because if you don't have tahor kohanim, then you're going to have tameh people doing the avoid in the mikdash. Nonetheless, so if the majority of the kohanim are tameh, then they're all kosher to do the avodah. They must do the korban pesach in tumah. Nitma miutakal. However, if it's only a minority of people who are tameh, hatahorin osinis harishon, then all the tahor people do pesach on the 14th of Nisan, but mein osinis hasheni, and the tameh people, they get pushed off until Pesach Sheni a month later.
So the kohanim, even though they may be tameh, they're able to participate in this.
Exactly. That's the whole chap of the Pesach B'tumah. Is that even if every single person in the country, well, particularly if every single person in the country is tameh, then, or even if the majority of people in the country are tameh, then the tameh kohanim and the tameh Yisraelim go onto Har HaBayis, they do the avodah, they shech the korban pesach and throw the things on the mizbeach, and then they come home and eat the korban pesach, even though everyone is tameh.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like a real Kiddush, you know?
Again, that's applicable in our times. I mean, we technically should be eating a korban pesach in our time. The only reason we don't eat a korban pesach in our time is because the government doesn't allow it. Which, I'm not getting into whether rightly or wrongly they have political considerations over here, but and it might sort of World War III if we had to all turn up at Har HaBayis with the korban pesach.
The korban Pesach has to be done on Har Bias, of course. So that's right. That would be World War III or 4 or 5, whatever, you know.
It depends on how you count them, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Wow, that's but otherwise there's no reason not to do it. If we had Har Bias, we'd be able to do the Korban Pesach. Otherwise.
And we'd have several million people having to descend on Yerushalayim every Pesach.
I thought traffic was bad now. Okay, all right.
Okay. Right, Pesachim Daled Hey.
Where it is customary to do work on the 9th of Av, we may do it. Where it is customary not to do work, we may not do it. But in all places, scholars are idle. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says a man should always adopt the behavior of a scholar. But the Chachamim say in Judea, they used to do work on the eve of Pesach until midday, while in Galilee, they did no work at all. As for the night, Beit Shammai forbids work, while Beis Hillel permits until sunrise. Reb Meir says any work which began before the 14th, he may finish on the 14th, but he may not begin it initially on the 14th, even if he can finish it before midday. But the Chachamim say practitioners of 3 crafts may work on the eve of Pesach until midday. They are tailors, barbers, and launderers. Reb Yossi ben Bar Yehuda says also shoemakers. We may set up coops for chickens on the 14th. If a brooding hen escaped, we may return her to her place. If she died, we may set another in her stead. We may sweep away from under an animal's feet on the 14th, but on the festival, we may only clear it away to the sides of the stall. We may take utensils too and bring them back from the house of a craftsman, even though they are not needed for the festival. Right.
Okay, just want to check in on you, Tovia. How's your sound? Have you got a stronger connection now? Tovia, are you with us? Yeah, it's a weak. I think he's got a weak internet connection over there. Okay, let's go on to Erev.
Okay, I've got so for this going again.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah.
Tovia?
And second of all, I'm following along in. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, good. Your internet seems to be a little weak over there.
Want to go on?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go. Erev Daled Tes.
Test. This is what we have said. The poor man may make an error with his feet. Said Reb Meir, we can apply this only to a poor man. Reb Yehuda says both a poor man and a rich man. They did not say. We make an error. We may make an error with bread, except to make it easier for the rich man, so that he may not go out and make an error with his feet. One who set out for a town for which they may make an error, but his friend turned him back, he may go, but all the townspeople are prohibited. These are the words of Reb Yehuda. Reb Meir says, whoever is able to make an error and does not, he is caught in between. One who went out of the Tchum, even 1 amos, may not return. Reb Elazar says 2 cubits, 2 amos, but he may return 3 amos. He may not return. And one who was overtaken by darkness outside the Tchum, even 1 amos may not enter. Reb Shimon says even 15 amos he may enter, for the surveyors do not give the full measure because of those who err.
Okay, we're Chala Beisvav. You're muted.
The button again. Okay. 4/5 of flour are liable to challah. They, the leaven, fine bran, and coarse bran are 5/4. They are liable. But if the coarse bran was removed from them and returned to them, they're exempt. The measure of challah is 1/24. If one makes dough for himself or for his son's banquet, 1/24. A baker who makes it for sale in the market, so too a woman who makes it for sale in the market, 1/48. If her dough was rendered unclean, whether by error or by circumstances beyond her control, 1/48. If it was rendered unclean deliberately, 1/24, so that the sinner may not be rewarded. And Reb Eliezer says it may be taken from the clean for the unclean. How? Clean dough and unclean dough. He takes the measure of challah from the dough from which no challah has been taken and puts less than an egg's bulk in the middle, in order that he may take from that which is nearby, but the Chachamim forbid.
Hold on a second.
In Beis Gimel. Regarding two pools of which one is tahor and one is tameh, that which perspires closer to the tameh pool, its perspiration is tameh. But that which perspires closer to the tahor pool, its perspiration is tahor. That which is equidistant from between the two pools, perspiration is tameh. Regarding a piece of tameh iron, one which is mixed with a piece of tahor iron, if the greater part of the mixture is from the tameh iron, it is tameh. But if the greater part of the mixture is from the tahor iron, it is tahor. If the mixture consists half of the tameh iron and half of the tahor iron, it is tameh. Regarding chamber pots into which both Jews and non-Jews urinate, if the greater part of the urine in the pot consists of the tameh urine, the mixture is tameh. If the greater part consists of tahor urine, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture consists half of tameh and half of tahor, it is tameh. Regarding wastewater on which rainwater fell, if the greater part of the mixture of water is from a tameh water, the mixture is tameh. But if the greater part of the mixture is from tahor water, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture consists half of the tameh water and half of the tahor water, the mixture is tameh. When is this? When the wastewater preceded the rainwater. But if the rainwater preceded the wastewater, even if only a minute amount, the mixture is tameh. Regarding one who tars his roof or washes his garment and rain fell on them, if the greater part of the mixture is from the tameh water, the mixture is tameh. If the greater part of the mixture is from tahor water, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture is half from the tameh and half from the tahor, the mixture is tameh. And Rabbi Yehuda says if they increase their dripping. In the case of a city in which both Jews and non-Jews reside, and which contained a public bathhouse which operated on Shabbos, if a majority of the population are non-Jews, one may bathe in the bath immediately after Shabbos. But if the majority of the population are Jews, one must wait an amount of time sufficient to heat the hot water. If the population is equally divided, one must wait an amount of time sufficient to heat the hot water. Rabbi Yehuda says in the case of a small pool, if an important official is living in the city, one may bathe in it immediately after Shabbos. Okay. Okay. Arachin. Aleph Dalet. If a woman is being taken out to be executed, we do not wait for her to give birth. If she sat upon the birth stool, we must wait for her to give birth. If a woman was executed, we benefit from her hair. If an animal was put to death, any benefit from it is forbidden. So let me see. On this first one, if she's being out,
by the way, the hair that you're allowed to benefit from, that's talking about her payah, her shaitel.
Okay. If a woman is being taken out to be executed, we do not wait for her to give birth. So she could be ready to be giving birth at any time and they still execute her right then. Correct. So you're really killing two. You're killing two instead of one.
That's the scary part, yeah. Yeah. It's that is an indication that the fetus is that the fetus is not quite a full life. Shame, I see Tuvia is saying his Zoom connection is okay. We'll talk to him later. Okay.
So this is indicating that if she was sitting on the birth stool, that means she went into labor, and that's so then
then they wait, because once she's already in labor, they're not going to the baby's going to come out, so then they can wait for it to come out.
So the other one is she could be 2 months pregnant, 3 months pregnant, whatever it is. She's not.
We don't wait for her to give birth. Correct.
Okay. All right. There is no erech which is less than a seller, no more than 50 selam. How so? If he gave a seller and then became wealthy, he gives nothing. If he gave less than a seller and then became wealthy, he must give 50 selam. If he had in his hands 5 selam, Reb Meir says he need only give 1, but the Chachamim say he must give them all. There is no erech less than a seller and no more than 50 selam. There is no returning to the beginning of the nida cycle for one who erred in her calculation in less than 7 days, nor in more than 17 days. Sorry, there are a lot of pages.
There's a lot of
There is-
comments. Yes.
Right. There is no confinement of Nagayim for less than 1 week and not for more than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We do not make less than 4 intercalculated months in a year, and it does not appear correct to make more than 8. The 2 loaves are eaten not less than 2 days after baking, no more than 3 days afterwards. The panim breads are eaten not less than 9 days after baking, no more than 11 days afterwards. An infant circumcised not less than 8 days old, no more than 12. One more, yes? No, that was it?
Or one more. No, sorry, no. I mean, one more Masechta. Get in.
Right. Okay. Okay. Chet Beit. If he said to her, take this note of indebtedness, or if he found it behind him and she read it, and behold, it was her get, it is not a get until he will say to her, this is your get. If he placed it in her hand when she was sleeping, and she awoke and read it, and behold, it was her get, it is not a get until he says to her, this is your get. If he was standing in public property and he threw it to her, if it is close to her, she is divorced. If close to him, she is not divorced. Half and half, she is divorced and not divorced. The same is true concerning Kedushin, and the same is true concerning a debt. If his creditor said to him, throw me my debt, and he threw it to him, if it falls close to the lender, the borrower gains. If it close to the borrower, he is obligated. Half and half, they both divide it. If she was standing on top of the roof and he threw it to her, once it reaches the airspace of the roof, she is divorced. It was above and he was above and she was below, and he threw it to her, once it leaves the domain of the roof, even if it was erased or burnt, she is divorced. Now in that airspace, how high, she's standing on the roof and there's an airspace there, how high do we consider that to be? You know what I'm asking?
Airspace goes up. Airspace goes up to the heavens. There's no limit to airspace.
No limit to it. Okay. All right. Okay. That's it? No, one more. Beit Shammai says a man may divorce his wife with an old get. Beis Hillel, however, prohibits. What is an old get? Anytime he secludes himself with her after he wrote it for her. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
He's done.
Done. And this Friday is Rosh Chodesh, so that's going to be a time thing. You're going to go early, probably?
Yes. I'm most likely going to take the later minion then. But we'll
I
see.
might miss
it all depends on what happens on Thursday night.